The board is speeding up its search for a new leader. And a warning for pet owners after another cat's death in Oregon was linked to bird flu. Thanks so much for joining us on this special edition of KGW News. I'm John Adams. Today, firefighters from some of the several strike teams that were deployed to help fight wildfires in Southern California returned home. Our Celine Stevens was there when they step off the rigs after completing their nearly 2,000-mile round-trip journey to help our neighbors.
Saturday morning, firefighters from the Gresham Fire Department, Port of Portland Fire Department, and Portland Fire and Rescue finally returned home after spending weeks in California helping to fight the Palisades fire. And they tell me they're happy to finally be safe and at home.
It was very emotional. I had some tears running down my face, but it was super exciting just to get out and have my kids running toward me to give me a big hug.
After being deployed over 2 weeks ago, Multnomah County, Oregon State Fire Marshal Engine Shrike Team 12 finally got to go home this weekend.
Today's my anniversary, so this worked out really well, but we're all just excited to see our families.
It's nothing short of well-deserved after this group of 22 members from 3 different county departments spent their last couple of weeks fighting the over 20,000-acre Palisades fire.
Rolling into town, it was pretty shocking to see what had actually happened there and what the LA guys and gals have went through.
You had entire neighborhoods that had burnt to the ground, commercial buildings burnt to the ground, entire subdivisions that were just wiped off the face of the earth.
Fire inspectors like Christine Pizzulo describes what she saw as something in a class of its own.
With the wildland-urban interface and all of the homes involved and the 100-mile-an-hour winds, in my career of doing this in over 30 years combined, this has definitely been something that I have never experienced. Just to see that magnitude of devastation, it's going to take some processing for sure.
Her wife, Amanda Kester, says it's been a long 18 days without her. So she and their kids surprised Pizzulo as she got off the engine.
The kids definitely missed her, so when I asked them this morning when they got up if they wanted to wait at home for Mama to come back or if they wanted to go to the fire station and see them roll in, they both immediately screamed in unison, fire stations.
Although it was challenging, many also said they were grateful for the experience and glad they were able to help their friends in uniform down south.
Keep LA in your thoughts, firefighters, first responders down there. I can't even describe what they went through and what they had to do, and it's pretty incredible.
In Northeast Portland, Celine Stevens, KGW News.
On the state level, the Oregon Department of Forestry welcomed back its crew members that went to the front lines of the LA fires. Its 6 strike teams were split between the 2 largest, the Palisades and the Eaton fires, for the last 2 weeks. We spoke to one of the strike team leaders who told us emotions were high during the deployment.
In both cities, actually, there was quite a lot of devastation, large plumes of smoke coming up, and a lot of emergency equipment moving around, so a high amount of activity and urgency.
He said this mission not only supports firefighters in Southern California, but also gives Oregon firefighters experience they can use when it comes to our local fires. And a quick reminder, KGW is still raising funds to help wildfire victims in partnership with the American Red Cross. You can donate by scanning the QR code here or through the links at kgw.com or even in person at any U.S. Bank branch. At last check, more than 530 of you have donated, together raising $77,000. A big thank you to all of you for that. Well, turning now to weather, for the second week in a row, we're looking at dry conditions, but still seeing those very cold mornings. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is here to let us know how much longer this forecast is going to stick around. Now, Joe, is this one of the driest Januaries we've ever seen here?
You would think, but no, this won't go down as even the top 5 driest on record, but there could be a stretch that could, rival some records over the next couple of days. But so far this month, we start off relatively wet, really the new year was on track to be what we typically see for January. And then over the last 13 days, things have been very dry. And that's what we've seen the last 2 weeks, basically. Last time we saw a measurable amount of rain, you have to go back to January 12th. Now, in between now and then, we have seen a couple of days here and there with some trace amounts of rain. But the weather pattern that we're seeing is called a Rex block pattern. That's why we have this ridge of high pressure overhead with a trough adjacent to it. And basically what happens with this system is not a whole lot. That's why we see these clear skies basically from the morning all the way into the nighttime. That's why our temperatures have been so cold. And that's what the weather pattern is going to be remaining like over the next 3 or 4 days or so. We'll still have some cold air filter in, a little bit of that east wind kicking up. So overnight lows will be dropping down into the low 20s to the mid 20s in a few locations. And again, we have that cold weather advisory that's in place throughout much of western Oregon. Air stagnation advisory, the east side of the state. But over the next few hours, our temperatures are going to be dropping. And I'll let you know if there's going to be any break in the weather pattern coming up in my detailed forecast.
All right, Joe, thank you. And a quick update now to the severe weather shelter operations in Washington County. The county's 2 shelters will stay open overnight through the forecasted dangerous drop in temperatures. They're now scheduled to close at noon tomorrow. The county says they expect to serve up to 70 people tonight. And new tonight, one of the nation's largest comic publishing companies is no longer publishing the works of Neil Gaiman. It's after allegations of sexual misconduct came out against the English writer, who denies those allegations. Milwaukee-based Dark Horse Comics says it's taking the allegations seriously. It also says it's canceled an ongoing comic series, Anansi Boys, based on one of Gaiman's novels. Continuing our coverage now of the St. Helens sex abuse scandal, the district on Friday released its search process for picking an acting superintendent. It began on the 15th with the board of directors set to interview finalists on Wednesday, the 29th, and announce their pick shortly after that. The acting superintendent's first day on the job planned to be the first Monday of February. Their job focus will be on executing the district's corrective action plan, as well as budget and program planning for the 25-26 school year. State officials have a warning for pet owners after a second cat in Washington County has died of bird flu. The cat was reportedly euthanized after becoming seriously ill from the virus. Our Catherine Cook looks into this further.
The second cat in as many months has died of the avian flu in Oregon. State agriculture officials say both cats lived in Washington County. One was an indoor cat. The other spent time outdoors. According to the Oregon Capitol Chronicle, that cat was euthanized after showing serious symptoms of bird flu, including fever, runny nose and eyes, and loss of appetite. State officials say the cat spent time around wild geese and ducks, the most common and expected cause of contraction. But in December, state officials say an indoor cat in Washington County died after eating raw pet food that tested positive for bird flu. The pet food manufacturer, Northwest Naturals, recalled the frozen raw turkey product. At the time, state veterinarian Ryan Schultz says it wasn't the cause they were expecting, but an important reminder of the bird flu's reach and scope.
Most of the exposures we would normally assume to be the source weren't really an option. And so we dove down a little deeper, found out that they were feeding a raw pet food.
Both cases are troubling at a time when the H5N1 virus is picking up momentum, killing millions of birds nationwide. Many of them chickens from backyard coops to commercial farms, driving up the price of eggs. And there are other concerns. In Chicago, wildlife officials are warning the public to avoid sick or dead birds after euthanizing dozens in recent months.
This disease has almost 100% mortality rate in the animals that we are seeing. And so really our options are euthanize what we can, because human health is going to be the utmost priority.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Local and state transportation leaders gathered alongside an East Multnomah County road yesterday to call on Oregon lawmakers to take a close look at how to fund transportation. They wanted to show off this road in Corbett and highlight the struggles that county road crews face who try to fix roads and bridges on a limited budget. The Senate co-chair for Joint Transportation said it's a problem that will only get more costly over time.
Many of them are at the end of their useful life, and so The problem is when we defer maintenance, like you see here, the longer you do that, the harder it is to recover, repair and recover the roadbed.
He says lawmakers will likely consider adjusting the state's gas tax, as well as how hybrid and electric vehicle drivers can contribute more. Meanwhile, the Port of Hood River said it's permanently closing the toll booth on the Hood River Bridge on April 1st and will transition to fully electronic tolls. The booth has been closed nightly since 2023. The port says the full closure will save about $100,000 per year, which will support bridge maintenance and plans for a new bridge.